started. Just gotta make sure that this is gonna be shared on my personal page. Just 1 second. Yeah, a kiss.
How's your audio is live now?
CC. Why is my Wi-Fi failing me now? Because I'm on the wrong one.
If I start a watch potty.
Oh.
A potty.
Potty.
I think we need to restart me. A watch party. That basically
Okay.
streams it on my timer.
I don't know. Okay. This is our dog Atticus. It's a big part of our lives. And he is scared because he's sitting on my chair. And I have his paws up on the desk here, and he's very scared because he feels very helpless. But just wanted to introduce you. Okay, bud? Our pup, Atticus. Bud, Atticus. You're free to go. Alright. So, and my wife agreed to join me. She is. She's here. You're here.
I'm here.
So I'm gonna take a quick drink of water. Maybe wait for people to saunter in for just a second. Right. So basically, I made this post not too long ago, and I'm just gonna be doing a series of videos here on Facebook Live, and I'm trying to come directly to you guys because I want to sort of offer myself as someone to help you with. Well, I guess let me just give just a touch of background if you don't know me very well, or if you know me but haven't heard from me for a long time. I've gotten really into learning how to record, mix, and produce music independently in like the setting of like a home studio, basically, where you take a room in your house and you convert it and turn it into your own little space to record and produce. And in today's world, this is something that is never been easier or attainable than it is today. And I feel like I've been able to grow some skills in this area, and even just as I talk with friends and stuff, you know, I do get a lot of questions and people who recognize that I've come a long way in learning about this and this craft. So I decided to create this website, this resource that's all about learning how to produce music in that context, in the home studio. So the first step, obviously, is if you want to learn how to record in the home studio, you have to have a home studio. And so a couple things I'm assuming about you. Where did that go? Give me 1 second. So first thing is who this is for. So basically, if you are someone who's a musician, you play an instrument, or even if you're a singer and you don't play an instrument but you do sing and you want to learn how to record your own voice, well, to do any of that, you're going to need to set up a home studio. And if you need to set up a home studio and you've never done it before, you're probably going to need some help because you don't really know exactly how that goes. So a couple assumptions I'm going to make as we talk about this, and the subject of today's video, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, is explaining what an audio interface is, because there's kind of several essentials that you need to get your first studio going, and I'm going to try to take this sort of piece by piece and just give a little bit more depth on each piece. But in the link of this video, you'll notice that I have a free PDF guide that I've put together for you that's going to save you hours of research. And my wife here was able to edit it and make it look more pretty.
Yes, I made it look pretty.
She's good at that. She's a graphic designer.
It's not just a Google Doc. No offense against Google Docs.
Right. That's what it was in the beginning. But so the goal of this PDF
Hi, Blake.
is, hey Blake, I'm glad you're here. So the Google Doc, it was a Google Doc. I'm sorry, I'm getting scrambled by that. But the PDF guide is basically help for you to be able to set up your first home studio ever. And I have recommendations for you with exact products, with exact links on 3 different budget levels. So whether you're looking to just go with like bare bones budget level, which to me is less than $500, which is that's a very tight budget, but it's doable to get you started. And then the next level is if you can spend up to $1,000, and if you have more than $1,000 to spend, or up to $2,000. I don't want to make any assumptions about what your budget is. I understand nowadays things are probably different than normal times, but so wherever your budget level is, I have recommendations for where you should start and what products you should get. A quick caveat on that, which is funny that my friend Blake here is watching. There's really only 2 places I would go to buy these pieces of gear that I'm going to be recommending. The first would be, thank you Blake for sharing. The first would be if you're comfortable buying used gear, which I've done a lot of over the years. There's a really wonderful online marketplace called Reverb.com. So the big advantage or the upside of shopping there is that there's a very wide range of sellers on that website. It's like an eBay basically, but specifically for music gear. So you're going to find individual small guys, like I've sold on there, for example. Small people who are just selling from their own personal collection, all the way up to big players in the business who have shops, mid-sized shops to big retailers who sell on there. So there actually is some new gear that you can buy in there, but really what it's known for is buying used. So if you're comfortable buying used, the big advantage there is you're going to get a big break on price. But the downside is you're not going to get any warranty or any tech support, and sometimes people even sell stuff as is. So you're accepting this trade-off that if it wasn't quite what you hoped it would be, you're stuck with it. So sort of like a buyer beware type situation. Caveat emptor, I believe, is the Latin, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's like an Adam Smith economics term. A laissez-faire type thing. But so if you're comfortable kind of taking those risks because you want to save some money, then by all means, Reverb.com. Otherwise, if you want to buy new, there's really only one place you should go. That's Sweetwater.com. It's a great place to buy. You not only, I mean, price-wise, they're not really any, sometimes they run sales, of course, and that makes them cheaper than the other guys, but most of the time their price is just what a regular retail price is. So you're not going there because the price is better per se. You're going there because you're going to get, yes, exactly, thank you, Blake. There's a 30-day return policy. You get a free 2-year warranty with any purchase you buy there. When you purchase something from there, you get access to their tech support team, which is probably the best in the industry. They're straight up genius guys who work there. So there's probably virtually no problem they can't help you solve. And you get the help of a dedicated sales engineer as well. So that's a big help as well. You can sort of, when you're making these buying decisions, hey Matt, you can sort of view them as like your own sort of personal coach in the process as you're trying to look for the right things, a guide, if you will. They're there to help you. So you're getting a lot just by being a customer there, besides the gear itself, because the gear itself doesn't really change from place to place. It's all the other things that come with it. So now that we got that out of the way, yeah. So check the link in the description if you want the guide to set up your first home studio that I put together for you. So, so just really quick, some assumptions I'm making about you. if you're watching here. So I'm going to assume you already have a computer. And well, first off, even before we get there, I'm assuming you're a musician and that you have already tried to write some songs or play around with writing some of your own songs, and you have a desire to write songs, and now you're sort of getting an itch to document the songs and record the songs in a way that is more than just taking your iPhone or whatever phone you have and just recording like a short voice memo. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to start somewhere, and that little voice memo is that's like documentation of an idea, and so it's super useful. That's important, but in and of itself, you can show that to a friend. But I'm assuming that you have a desire inside to take it to another level. Like you want to be able to play something for somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, a spouse, even, and anything,
Blake or Matt, do you guys have voice memos on your phone of stuff you recorded? If so, how many do you have?
I'd be surprised if you guys did. Yeah, I even have a few. Most of my rough sketches have been on the computer, though, which is kind of what we're going to be getting into. But yeah, so I'm assuming that you have that desire, you have that experience, and you want to get past the voice memo level, and so now we have to go to the next steps and start setting up a home studio, and we're going to need some pro audio gear to do this. Not consumer audio, there's definitely a difference. So Blake says, yes, always jotting down ideas, probably around a dozen or so right now, give or take. Okay, that's plenty. That is plenty. So I've assumed you're a musician. I've assumed you've already started getting ideas down on voice memos, as Blake has confirmed. And I'm going to assume you already have a computer. Now, you could be watching this on your computer or your smartphone, but most people nowadays have a computer. So the computer you have right now is good enough to get started with. Is it going to be, as you get more developed in this journey, you're probably going to want to consider upgrading to some computer that's a little bit more powerful and faster than what you have now, most likely, unless you already have something very powerful. Mac or PC, doesn't matter. I'm a Mac guy through and through. I think Macs are a little simpler to work with, especially they're very friendly with the software that's used. So yeah, we've already touched on that you've already been experimenting with your own songs. You already own some type of instrument. Okay, so if we're trying to build a home studio on $500 or less, that's obviously not going to include the computer or the instrument because you already have those things. So for example, if you're a guitar player, you've already got your guitar, whether it's an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, and you've got an instrument cable, maybe you got a couple pedals, you've got an amp. You already have those things, okay? So just bear in mind that I'm already accounting for those and I'm making those assumptions. So the first piece of gear that you're going to need outside of those presumed things is what's called an audio interface. And to break this down in like the most oversimplified fashion I possibly could break it down to, an audio interface is really just a device that hooks up to your computer that becomes this sort of gateway of exchange or a communication portal between analog signals and digital signals and allowing them to communicate back and forth. So it is the thing that allows you to take a microphone or an instrument, a guitar, and to plug it into that, and for that analog current that comes from that to be converted into something that's digital so the computer can understand it. Computer feeds it back through the interface. Digital information that gets converted back to analog so that you can hear it going through, either playing back through headphones or studio monitors, speakers, that'll be another chapter that we're going to talk about. So,
makes sense.
Yeah.
I know nothing about all this stuff. I can track with it.
So that is what an audio interface does in very simple layman's terms. Modern audio interfaces are really, really good. Even like the simple entry-level ones are very they're very powerful for what they can do for you as a beginner. So they're gonna have and maybe in like a professional level studio, the kinds of things that are inside an audio interface are going to be broken up into separate actual components. So that conversion process that happens between analog and digital analog, there's in a pro studio, you might see a dedicated piece of gear that just does that, and you might see something else that's just a microphone preamp. So what your audio interface is, it's combining a lot of different things in one unit. So the conversion we just talked about, that happens in there. And it has what's called a preamplifier for your microphone. So when you plug a microphone into it, that mic has a very, very low level output. It's very quiet. In and of itself, it does not have enough signal for you to really hear what's coming, but what signal is being recorded and picked up by it. So you need some sort of other device to amplify and raise the level up of this quiet signal into something that's much louder. That's called a preamplifier, or preamp for short, which is what we always call it. And your interface has a preamp built in. So there's really no need to fuss with having to get something external right in the beginning as we're getting started. So interfaces have like 3 different possible connections to your computer. So there's the simplest one, which is kind of the most universal, like getting started type thing. It's just a USB connection. It literally uses the same USB cable that you'd use to like connect a printer to your computer, for example. Nothing fancy. These are definitely good enough to get started. The transfer speeds that happen over a cable like that aren't as fast as the other two. So the other one is FireWire. Now this is kind of an older technology that's being phased out. You definitely won't find anything new that uses FireWire. That's, you're going to find that on equipment that's 10 years old plus at this point. So it's kind of an older technology, but for its time, it was very fast. And by today's standards, I still wouldn't call it slow. It's maybe it's faster than USB 2.0, but not as good as the last kind, which is called Thunderbolt, very popular. That's something that comes native on a Mac if you own a Mac computer. But if you have a PC, fear not, because you can get, I believe it's called like a PCE card or an adapter that allows you to convert one of the slots. I don't remember. I'm not a PC guy, so I'm sorry. But there are ways around it. You just need to Google like how to get a Thunderbolt connection on a PC, and there are methods out there for doing this. So basically, I'm just saying that to let you know that you're not going to be excluded as a PC person from having a Thunderbolt interface. So Thunderbolt is beautiful. The transfer speeds are very, very fast, and the reason that the rate of information exchange, that conversion between analog and digital that's constantly happening, the reason that's important, the reason that how fast that's moving is important, is because there's something called latency that happens. You've experienced this.
Yes.
So imagine you talking into the microphone and you're wearing a pair of headphones monitoring yourself, and you say a word, and then it feels like there's a little bit of a delay that happens between when you spoke the word and when you heard that word play back in your headphones. That's referred to as latency, and the reason that is happening is because the amount of time that this processing and this conversion is that all that is going through, that takes time. Now it's fast, it happens in a matter of milliseconds, but even a certain amount of milliseconds is enough to be noticeable for how you're feeling it. I mean, it might be fast, but when you're trying to talk or sing, it's distracting. So, so a Thunderbolt interface is going to have like those faster times, and so naturally they have those kinds of interfaces will have lower latency times. So usually you can get a Thunderbolt interface to have pretty much as close to possible zero latency, even though there is no true zero latency. when you're talking about listening to a processed signal. However, and as I get to my recommendation, I will make note of this. Some interfaces have the ability to directly monitor the signal that is being captured by your microphone before it goes to your computer and into your recording software, and all that conversion happens. It's called direct monitoring. So you're just hearing the signal completely dry before any digital conversion has happened and before any processing has been applied to it. Inside of your recording software, you can apply different effects and processors and things. So, but when you're directly monitoring, you are not going to be able to hear all that. If you're directly monitoring, then you are hearing it truly at a zero latency level. Like, there is no latency whatsoever. And that's how it used to be in the old days of recording before we had this process, before this process became digital. And quite frankly, before this became digital, being a home studio producer really wasn't a thing unless you had a big room with a lot of space and a lot of money. So you think about an old classic rock band, Boston. Their classic album that's got all the songs that we all know, More Than a Feeling, and we could go on with it. That was recorded in a home studio, so he had all old school, like, analog recording equipment. Analog recording equipment, there is no latency because there's no analog to digital conversion that's happening. It's just analog the whole time, the whole signal path. So this is kind of a trade-off that exists in the world of digital, and something we have to learn to live with. But something like direct monitoring is a way to be able to get around that. So while you're recording, you can directly monitor, no latency, and then processing will be something you think about later. So that way when you're recording, you only think about performance. So that being said, my product recommendation, which again you'll find in the guide I put together for home studio, building your first home studio from the ground up, just very basic fundamentals. I like to recommend the Focusrite from their Scarlett series, and since we're starting just bare minimum, the Solo is probably is the product I would recommend. It only has one input in it, so you're only going to be able to record one thing at a time, whether it's a microphone or an instrument, and that's okay, because when you are recording, just because you only have the ability to record one thing at a time does not mean that you can't have a song with multiple tracks in it. It's not like one input, so I can only have a song with one track. Not true, because you can do something called overdubbing, which is recording one part at a time, building on top of each other. So first you record your guitar, acoustic guitar, let's just say, for example, and then once that's recorded, then you can bring your mic back and you can start singing over it, and one by one, little by little, you can build a song that has 20 different parts in it with an interface that only had one input. So there's a limitation with how many you can record at the same time, but if you're just going solo, that's why it's called the Solo, it's just for one person, this is the place to start. And the Focusrite series has that direct monitoring feature built into it, so that's a really nice feature that they bundled in there, so that it's really just a button. And again, the link is inside the guide to this. So when you go to the product page, you'll see on the front panel of it a button that says direct monitoring, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's really just as simple as just clicking that button, and then you will engage the direct monitoring feature. And then inside your software, which we'll talk more in depth about software later, the track that you are working with, you would mute it inside the computer so that you're only listening to the direct signal that you engage by clicking that button, and you're not, instead of hearing that direct signal mixed with the process signal inside the computer. So that's just kind of a trick for you. So yeah, so that's essentially the gist of audio interfaces and what they're going to do. in your home studio, and why it's, other than your computer, it is the hub of your studio. It's very, very essential, and that it is, in today's modern world of tools, like that is how you're going to record, is with an audio interface. So, and sound quality wise, I think that even the entry level ones sound plenty good. Do they sound like, I don't know, like high end? Is the preamp inside the Focusrite Scarlett that I'm recommending to you, does it sound like a dedicated microphone preamp that costs 10 times the price? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Perhaps it doesn't.
We haven't gotten to that budget yet.
But we're not at that budget level yet, and we have to start somewhere. And but I will say that the quality, because of the aforementioned microphone signal being very quiet and the need for that preamp to amplify the level of that, it is really important that you have a good quality preamp, because it is Blake says nah. I would hope you would say that, because you know you're selling some pretty high-end preamps and stuff to people. So if you can't sell them on the fact that you know, a Neve 1073 preamp doesn't sound better than the preamp inside of a Focusrite Scarlett, then you're never going to have a high sale, and then you're not going to make very much money either. But yeah, needless to say, it is very much good enough to get started, and that is what this series is going to be about. We're focusing on starting, and we're not focusing on trying to go from never doing this before to pro. We have to take steps. It is a journey. And it's taken me a very long time just to get where I am, and I am nowhere near pro. Perhaps is a subjective term, so I don't know if I want to speak to that, but it's taken me a long time to get to where I am with the skills I have, and then the gear that I have, which is solid and will last me for a while. The more you get into this, the more you'll learn that as a musician, and as you start getting the itch for recording, and how satisfying it feels to play something back that you recorded, that you originated, you're going to start getting more and more of an itch for wanting to get more and more stuff, more and more gear, or upgrades, or like, okay, this is good, but I want to either add another dimension, or like I want something that's maybe a little bit higher end than this, so I'm going to sell this one and get this one. It happens, you know. Sometimes. Sometimes happens. I'm quite pleased. Quote from a movie.
Yeah.
So I saw that Nate Jones joined. I remember way back in the day, we used to hang out with A-Pod. We had this joke that we'd talk about. I can't remember the term, but the need for wanting gear all the time. We called it like something-itis. I don't remember. Maybe we just called it gear acquisition syndrome. That's a popular one.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the one that's used a lot. They call it GAS, gear acquisition syndrome. This like compulsive need to continue to gather more and more gear. But
the other day, I asked him to add everything in a cart online on Sweetwater. Anything that he would want,
true.
just so I can see what the price was.
Yeah. Well, and since it was a hypothetical exercise, I went with the most ideal things I would want.
Yeah.
And it still didn't cover everything I could possibly want. So yeah, I racked
grand more than I guessed.
Yeah, I racked up a bill for about $15,000 in less than 10 minutes. So, but I had some very expensive items in the cart. I had a Royer R121 matched pair. I had a Neumann U87, and you're already at $5,000, if not $6,000, just between those two items already. So, okay, so that's basically what I wanted to say. If any of you who are watching had any questions, I would be happy to take those now. And in the meantime, while the little delay that's happening between when you hear what I say and you know me talking in real time, I will just remind you once again, if you check the link that's in the description of this video, it's the guide I put together for you. 3 different budgets for starting your first home studio with actual products and their recommendations that I've given, with links and my commentary. And all of this I've done to save you hours of research, because when you're getting started with something, the research phase kind of sucks because you don't know a lot and you have to do a lot of learning first so that you can even read the recommendations of other people and understand what's going on. So I thought I'd give you a leg up by putting this guide together. So it is in the description. Just click on that link and you'll have the chance to get that downloaded and see what you think. So does anybody have any questions related to audio interface? Or I can open it up to whatever you want. You can. I talked about audio interfaces, but if you wanted to ask a question about something else, feel free, and maybe I'll have an answer for you. Maybe I won't. But just another minute. Hey, Atticus. You don't like being held, do you, buddy?
He doesn't like being held.
He doesn't.
But I like holding him.
Not like this. He's a very long dog. Hey, buddy. Okay. All right. That'll do it. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching. Just hanging out for a few minutes. Like I said, I'm going to be kind of going step by step, doing, I know I've already gone longer than I thought I would go. I'm the long-winded guy, I guess. When I talk about the right thing. So I'm gonna be kind of going step by step, talking about the things that are needed for building out your first home studio. So started today with audio interface, and next video I'm going to be talking about your recording software, which is called your DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. And that one will be a little bit more simple because we're not going to go into huge depth necessarily about how to use it, but more so what it is, what it does, and what I think you should go with. So we'll keep it simple, and in the future we can start to hopefully maybe dive more in depth on some of these topics, and I can start showing you how that stuff actually gets used once we get past the phase of acquiring it. So thank you guys, and I hope all of you have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon. So see ya.